Right then, legends, round 2 is done, dusted, and signed, sealed, delivered. And it was really an entertaining round of footy. We're going to be going through who were buying stocks in, who were selling in the review and the recap of the season. Some of these teams will be eyeing off September. Some of the teams are eyeing off where they're fitting the trophies. And some of them are already booking their Mad Monday in April. Let's cut to an intro and be right back in with the review of the week. So today what we're doing is we're putting every AFL team under the magnifying glass one by one and answering the question, buying stock, selling stock, or keeping the stock. There's going to be no fence sitting, no fluff, just straight up footy chat. So whether your team's flying or flatter than a beer left in the sun, we're going to see it, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to let you catch up with the week that was. So let's get into it. Adelaide Crows. Let's talk about them. They didn't just beat Essendon. They absolutely dismantled the Bombers, breaking a 2,822 winless streak at the G. Jordan Dawson was sensational. 33 touches, 775 metres gained. That is kind of like kicking a ball from Adelaide to Melbourne, if you upscale it. Forward-wise, Philthorpe, Keys, Rochelle, they were sensational. Slotting 4 goals each was Ben Keys and Josh Rochelle. Keys seems to have a personal vendetta against Victorian teams, and he was absolutely sensational. He did it to them last time out. Isaac Rankine only played a half. They rested him, and he had 2 goals and absolutely was a menace throughout. He was super efficient. So after a performance like that, they're definitely contenders. They are definitely at the team. I am buying all the stock left of the Crows. Buy that stock. They've got firepower, midfield dominance. They play a modern-day brand. Watch out, the AFL. Crows, they're swooping. Up next, we'll go in alphabetical order. We'll go Brisbane Lions. They hosted the Eagles. And after a shaky start, they managed to win the game by 19 points. Game finishing 14-10-94 to 11-9-75. And early doors, the Lions were on the ropes. They were in absolute pieces. First 5 goals conceded. They were 31 points down. It was literally like watching Bambi on ice. It was all over the shop. But credit where credit's due. The senior leaders of that football club chipped away the deficit. They steadied the ship at halftime. And then the second half was just ominous. Brisbane took control. Dunkley, he was sensational, finishing with 21. Lockie Neal, though, game high 35, took control, was racking up possessions and really getting them going from backward to forward quicker. Archie and Morris popped up with 3 goals apiece. They looked really good. Morris particularly really looking to put his hand up in that Joe Danaher hole. And after the first quarter, which was nothing short of barbaric, the Lions tightened up. They really showed their class. They beat up on Eagles. And although Eagles had a spirited fight, gotta give it to Brisbane that they could just manage that game. That is just senior leaders doing what it is. It was really one of them cases of you've had your go, now it's my go. So what's the verdict? Despite the wobbly start, I think the Lions show resilience, and I put a lot of money in resilience when you are a champion. The ability to adapt under pressure. The articles were being written. There's talent in this side. There's ticker. For me, buy your stock. They can do this. They've beaten 2 good sides already. They've done this really well. They're going to be a force to reckon with. So, stock on the rise at the Lions. Bring the show down. Got to talk about my boys, Carlton. Let's get into it. They copped it from the Hawks, going down 80-60 after leading at half-time and showing that they are contest and pressure-based. They conceded 8 of the last 10 goals. That is like building a sandcastle and your cousin, Rebecca, comes in and just kicks it as you finish and you put the flag in. The absence of Harry Mackay, who was a late out due to illness, was a blow, but Charlie Curnow was reinstated and he didn't register a possession for a quarter of football. Only had 5 touches, looked very lost. It was like literally they sent him out to the Battle of the Somme with a wooden sword. De Koning dominated the ruck. Cripps did well as well. They managed 8 goals from 54 inside 50s despite winning the inside 50 count by 12. It's all well and good winning this ball, but if you can't convert, it's like baking a cake and not having any sugar in it. This is a common thing. When Carlton will look at this game linearly and look at it, the big worries is that players like Jai Newcombe and co had just as much impact without trying as hard as they did. So where does that leave Carlton? 2 games, 2 losses, struggling to find their mojo. You have to sell your stock on Carlton. You have to. The next 2 games will tell us a lot about them. They are, at the minute, the first team into the Pretenders camp. We had Kerno camp a couple of years ago. We're at Pretenders camp at the minute. And we are literally without a paddle at the minute. Is it time to light them candles and say a few pairs? Sell your stock. Sell your stock. Make sure you've got something to go with. Collingwood. All right, let's chat about them pies, eh? They edged out Footscray in what was a nail-biter, 76-70, spoiling the doggies. Centenary for celebrations. The pies started incredibly slow. They were 4 goals down in the opening term. But again, a bit like Brisbane, they showed their resilience. Nick Dacos was instrumental, racking up 39 touches, 13 of them when they were getting beaten up as well. He really did stand up. Steele Sidebottom does what he does. He kicked the winner, but he was a constant menace throughout. Defensively, I actually enjoyed this game. Now, a lot has been made out about the free kick count, but even the Dogs coach himself said it. They had opportunities to win this. Them free kicks were largely born out of desperation. At least 15 of them were desperation. I thought from the second half the Pies controlled this game. Their ability to adapt and overcome situations, their ability to slow the game down, really was a big case that the Pies stayed in this for so long, which allowed them to jump them at the end. I'm a big advocate of grit, depth, determination, and having control in the furnace. And I always say this, doesn't matter how it goes in, as long as it goes in. For me, start buying Magpies form stock because they are slowly winning and they're showing that they've still got that knack to destroy a team like Port who need beating up, but also a very tricky Dogs side. I think the Dogs side are very, very good at the minute, and I was impressed with this, so I'm buying a little bit of stock in them. Let's go on to another team that I don't like talking about, but we'll give it the respect it deserves. Essendon Bombers. They copped a shellacking versus the Crows, 161-100. And it was a leaky boat trying to stay afloat in a hurricane, wasn't it? Zach Merritt was an absolute dominance as well. 36 touches, 4 goals. And it was really sad because Sam Durham as well, 21 touches, 7 clearances. He was really strong in and around the contest. But the Bombers, just defence, is like a wet paper bag, conceding 25 goals, 129 marks to 59, literally allowing Adelaide. There was no fight, no desire from outside of a couple of players. It's actually disappointing from Essendon to watch because they are so much better than what they put up with. And it feels like the game plan doesn't help them. It's not on the front foot enough. And it was very, very easy for Adelaide to do what they did. You've got to sell any stock you may own in Essendon. They need to tighten up defensively, find some consistency to be taken seriously this season. It's going to be a long year for the Essendon faithful if this keeps up. They're joining Carlton massively in that pretender camp at the minute. Up next, Fremantle. So they hosted Sydney, and despite a valiant effort where they literally were winning this game for 99.9% of it, we watched this one, to fall short by 3 points. It was tough, this one. You know what I mean? It was a nail biter, and that only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. One shining light for Freo was Josh Tracy. He kicked 4 goals. He was a real good target up there. Big question marks about their forward line, but he was slotting sausages like he was having a kick in the back garden. If he keeps up this form, they've got a real spearhead. The issue with Fremantle, though, is they had opportunities to kill that game. For a good 2 quarters, they were by far the better side. And it feels like at times they are pissing about with the ball. They were solid, but without that scoreboard pressure, it's like building a castle, do you know what I mean, on a cloud. It's just going to fall through. And the verdict here is you've got to sell your stock on Fremantle because they've had this problem under JL for 12 months, in my opinion. They look okay. They have got the list, but the polish and composure to really put teams away in these games where it's a 50-50 is questionable. Sell the stock. Sell the stock. It doesn't feel like they're ready to swim with the big fish as of yet. And then we go over to Geelong Cats. Let's have a good old chinwag about these. They went to Marvel Stadium, and again, it's that annual March thing where they got beaten 98-91 by the Saints. Watching them was really hard. The way I would describe that in a boxing contest is a heavyweight fight you've been waiting for a long time, and then they lose it and they say it was the ring walk. Tom Atkins, he left it all on the field, staggering 11 tackles, 20 touches. He was like a dog to the bone, but the rest of them just didn't come to the party, and they had a tail wag late, but the Saints came out swinging. We said it on the watch-along after 10 minutes. If they can get 4 goals ahead, Saints ain't losing this game. And they did claw their way back, but the ease in which Saints, I felt, controlled this game is a worry. Brad Close, he had the goal. Nasir with a toe managing to get behind. I felt that was a turning point in the game, but they still had opportunities to win it. The way that Jack McRae did what he wanted when he wanted really did look a vulnerability to Geelong. And Tom Stewart going off early in the second with a knee injury. I'm sticking with my stock, though, here. Although the Cats showed heart, I do think that they were poor in this game, and that's not taking anything off Saints. Still think they've got enough there to be a threat. Some weird decisions. Jeremy Cameron playing down the back. I feel like Chris Scott there has tried to go bold and not paid Saints the respect and duly been beaten up. Bailey Smith coming in as well. When he comes back, whatever's wrong with him, I do think the Geelong will be all right. They'll definitely be in the 8, but that was a very poor game. Hawthorn, right then. They absolutely got a moral-boosting win versus Carlton 80-60. That's 3 on the trot. This is their best start so the Premiership year 2014. Jai Newcombe was scintillating, and this is what we were talking about, him versus Cripps. His 32, 11 tackles and 9 clearances. He was a constant metronome in what Hawthorn do. They're playing such a lively, beautiful brand of football. Shaw was lively. He was like a cat on a hot tin roof. 3 goals, was constantly a menace for the Blues. Josh Battle, he just had a big grin on his face. He gave Charlie Curnow a bath. He really subdued Kemp. At times, he was playing on both of them, and he managed to really get them going from down back. The Hawks are soaring at every bit of a contender. Whatever stock is remaining, buy, because their midfield that's firing, their midfield forward connection is absolutely brilliant. It's as potent as a triple shot of espresso. They're a force to be reckoned with. The Hawks will be there or thereabouts this year. Buy all the stock. Up next, Melbourne Demons. They ventured to Marble Stadium and got absolutely pantsed by North. And this was a horrible game to watch. 59 points. They were literally sitting ducks for most of the game. For a team that we always question their forward line, but it's their defence that gets the praise. 8 goals in the final term alone is not a good look. Well, now, it's okay, you could say the game was lost, they put the head down, but that kind of attitude is going to get you into more trouble than it is. Cam Zerha, Paul Curtis, they did what they wanted at times. Their backline looked vulnerable. Clayton Oliver, he did well. He got a lot of the ball and he tried to get them going, but he was literally trying to put his finger as the damn wall broke. Max Gorn, he was very poor. And then to make it worse, Goodwin out of nowhere throws him under the bus, saying he's got things going on behind the scenes. It's like a soap opera, this. And Melbourne are doing it again. Melbourne, when they implode, they proper implode. You've got fans spitting them on over the fence. You got Goodwin just randomly throwing in the captain under the bus when it wasn't even asked as well. Sell your stock. Melbourne are done. I'm calling it early now. Melbourne are done. You can see the off-field things. It's like, honestly, it's like watching someone fill a kettle that is made of chocolate. It's melting. Sell the stock. Sell the stock. North Melbourne, eh? So they got that 59-point win. Now, their defence was as tight as a drum. We talked about it in pre-season, how exciting it is that North are playing this really attacking brand, right? And Charlie Comden was absolutely insane down the back. In the third quarter alone, 4 contested marks. He was dominant. He never allowed Melbourne to get it in that forward half of the ground. Jerry was just filthy good. Filthy good. Absolutely dominating Max Gawn. 12 touches, a goal. Absolutely strong as an ox. It was David versus Goliath, and he got a proper pasting. A new king is in town, King Jerry. Melbourne will be very, very impressed with this, and it could have been more. There were slight efficiency issues, I thought. Curtis, though, Zerha looks sensational. They've got a real good pair of toes up top as well for targets for these guys to work off. North are in a real good place. So buy some stock. Buy some stock, because these are the kind of performances you look at from them. This is a big win, a win where probably a lot of people had them, including myself, losing this game in a tight one. They turned it around. Then we go to a team that was so disappointing last week. Port Adelaide. They hosted Richmond at the AR and they walloped them. 72 points, 140 to 68. And it was like just watching your nan butter bread. Do you know what I mean? It was that easy at times. Smooth and effortless. From the get-go, Port Adelaide were literally there. 6-1 in the opening term. And by half-time, it was starting to get messy. To Tigers' credit, they did have a little bit of a fight back in the second half. But Connor Rosie, 39 touches, 7 clearances, 2 goals. He was electrifying. Mitch Giordodis, he had a real strong outing as well. 4 goals, was a constant nightmare for Richmond. Kane Farrell and Ollie Wines, they were really resilient. And Kane Farrell particularly looking like a Cheshire cat at times with his zip off halfback. Still, though, they did what they should do against Richmond, right? And I will say this. So I'm sticking with my stock on this. I'm not buying and I'm not selling, because I feel like they're as trusty as a dodgy GPS. Might take you to the destination, but you could end off a cliff face. Consistency for me is Port Adelaide's heel, and they can string performances like this, but then do a performance like they did last week. And that leads us on to Richmond, who, you know what? They went to enemy territory. They got beaten by 72. They were out of depth. They were floundering for times. The first 2 quarters, yes, they were on the back foot. They conceded. There was inexperience. It was real poor. But for me, it was the leaders that didn't step up. I thought the young kids did do okay. In the midfield, Port were so strong. Jack Ross wasn't as good as he was against Carlton. But I did like that they were giving it a fight. They tried to come back in the second term. They showed a bit of spirit. They showed a bit of courage. And that will do you well down the track in 2-3 years. So you know what? Even though this is a shellacking, they did show enough for me for a team that is on the rebuild. That does it. For me, I'm sticking with my stock on this. It's a long-term payoff, this. It's a long-term investment. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to buy a little bit of stock just for showing a bit of fight. Buying a little bit of stock in them for a long-term payoff. If I'm looking for a payoff this year, I'm keeping what I've got. Do you know what I mean? Just so I'm safe. But you know what? They're going to have to get better than senior leaders. It's going to cost them. Right, let's go on to St Kilda. They absolutely did what they do every year. Beat Geelong, 7-point victory, 98-91. And this was great viewing. The Saints came out swinging. Everyone was having fun. Windhager looking sensational. A really coming of age for him. Higgins was a pain in the bum for Geelong. He was there. Nass was strong down the back. But it was Jack McRae, 35 touches, 11 tackles, 9 clearances. We gave him a huge G-up in the preseason, saying that he is the Tom Mitchell of this Collingwood side, of the Saints side, and he got them going back, forward, controlled the game. I was really strong. Buy stock in Saints, because if Saints get ahead and they play like this, there's going to be a problem, because their structure behind the ball is nagging to beat. Very impressed by the Saints. Well done them. Then we go to Sydney Swans. Finally got the win. They chipped in. Just a win in this game. Just a win. Coming from behind late to win. It was surprising, wasn't it? Their backline really did well. Carting going down back finally made sense, didn't it? He was literally a pawn in the side of Freo. He was everywhere. Chad Warner got his hands on the ball at the right time. He really gave them an injection in the second half. And Joel Amati led really well for them. This was a character-building win because their defensive half was absolutely sensational, their slingshot. They did really well to stay in this game. At times, Fremantle were by far the better side, but Sydney's resilience kept them in it. I'm buying stock in Sydney. I'm buying stock. They've got that Bloods culture. They've got that fight. I don't think they've been as bad as people say the first two games. I think they've just having that transitional feeding period. They did very well. Buy stock in Sydney. Eagles, right. This is one of the heartbreaking ones. Going down by 19 to Brisbane, the reigning premiers, is no shame. They got caught with a late uppercut. They were leading on points going into the round 12. The Eagles came out of the block like a greyhound chasing a rabbit. They were leading at every change, great intensity, and making Lions look mediocre at times. They were slicker than a greased weasel. Brisbane fumbling like they literally never played the game was really weird. The pressure got to them. The pressure got to the Lions. But in the final quarter, it's just that intelligence, that football intelligence. And they were sitting ducks in that fourth quarter, and it was sad to watch because the old saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint, which they tried to sprint the first 10Ks. Standouts, though, Liam Ryan was brilliant. He was lively. He was up and about, 3 goals. McGovern did incredible down the back as well. It's like he sees the game before it happens. But this loss is really heartbreaking. They did everything but win the game. They should be incredibly proud as they go off there. I'm sticking with my stock because I think they'll be all right. They needed this type of performance because last week was a shitful. But that's going to be really hard to recover from because that would have been a huge win. And then the Doggies, or Footscray as they're now known for the next couple of weeks, they faced off against Collingwood. Valiant effort. This was a great game, but you've got to put it in context. Bontempelli, Treloar, big names. Big names to miss. They're still getting it done. That forward line is deadly. Sam Darcy was a pain, kicking 4 goals, definitely making out to be a future star. The free kick count, 33-14, though, will be talked about. But in fairness to Beveridge, he said that wasn't an influence. It did feel like the umpires, though, at times were treating Collingwood like a mother treats a baby in a beauty contest. You know what I mean? Really overrating it. But I have to say, said it in the Collingwood review, 15 of them, I think, were desperation from the Dogs. But it was sad in the fourth quarter. There was some decisions that went against the Dogs. Despite these challenges, though, the Bulldogs look really strong, and you should buy stock in them. I'm very impressed how they've negated losing Treloar, Bontempelli and co, and still doing well. Like, they are still hard to beat, hard to break down, and they showed that. Players like Kennedy, Liberatore are sensational. I mean, Liberatore was sensational in this game. They're a team that you should buy stock in because I think they're going to surprise some people, and they'll be in and around the 8. That forward line is potent. When they get Bont and co back, that midfield connection gets even better. There you have it. That's the whirlwind of emotions. That is round 2. Let me know who you're buying stock in. Let me know if you're selling in. Let me know if you enjoyed this new style of doing the reviews. We'll be back soon with more AFL insights, more watch-alongs and stuff. So make sure you stick around, like, subscribe, do all that great stuff. See you soon. Pommy out.